What's up, survivors? Welcome back to another Myth of Empires update video. Okay, this one's a little bit of an interesting one. Um, Myth of Empires has officially come out and acknowledged the lawsuit that most of us have known about for the last 2 or 3 weeks. That's at the end of January on the 31st. Basically, they're suing Snail Games USA for false accusations to Steam for making them take the game off the market, blah, 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 as well as probably more counter lawsuits against the whole we stole the source code thing. So yeah, that's happened at the end of January, so we'll probably know more about the fate of the game around that point. Also, they talked about possibly putting the game on their website to be purchased. So the game would be at least back up for being able to be bought, but you would have to buy it through their main website, which is right here, mythofempires.com, where you could go to. Obviously, you can't purchase it from there at this current date of January 7th off their website, but they are talking about putting it up on the market for it to be purchased. So that being said, possibly look forward to it. They also mentioned that they are still working on developing the servers, the game, working on getting new content out, adding new, all kinds of stuff. Just trying to still support the game and thanking everybody for their continued support with the game so far. Now, that being said, that's a really nice statement, but let's be honest here. This game is a powder keg at the moment. And I'm going to shed some light on a huge flaw that the game is going through at the moment. And it's more on the PvP side, because I've talked to a couple of PvPers, big PvPers, specifically content creators, as well as PvE content creators. And I asked them how they felt about the state of the game. The ones that are still playing, by the way, not the ones that all gave up on the game, not all the big ones that walked away after 2 weeks because of the lawsuit and the servers and all that stuff. And they don't see the game surviving. Specifically, the PvPers don't see the game surviving. And I could agree with them on the reason why they don't see the game surviving. Now, that does not mean I'm siding with Snail Games and Wildcard here, guys. I love Myth of Empires. It's a fun game once you learn how to play it and you get the concept. If you can get past the hardcore grinding, it's a fun game to play. That being said, PvP is a disaster right now. Basically, it is ruled by bully Zerg alliances at the moment. Specifically, one. And it's the same one that ruined another game called Last Oasis. Let's be for real here. The exact same issue we're having in this game in PvP happened in that game in PvP. It was ruled by one giant Zerg alliance. And it's the exact same alliance, too. Funny how that works. It's the exact same Zerg alliance from Last Oasis that is now on Myth of Empires doing the same thing they did. Winning with numbers and time, not with skill. So, developers, please do something about that. Yes, it is extremely difficult to do something about it, but learn from what happened with Last Oasis. They didn't listen to the community. They didn't add safe zones specifically for PvE players or safe maps, which this game did. But they also allowed the Zergs to roam free by not limiting their ability to transfer and fight on other maps and other air zones. They made it too easy and too cheap to do it. So, sorry, had to readjust. The state of the game, 50-50 right now. I can see the dial either falling towards population dying off because they refuse to do anything about the PvP situation, which a lot of the PvP developers, sorry, not PvP developers, the PvP content creators are quitting official PvP. They're flat out quitting. They're walking away because they can't keep up. They cannot keep up. They're losing sleep over the game. Too much sleep because they're being rated for 5, 6, 7 days straight with no rest. And people, they're like, they can't get people to, like, their own alliances can't even keep up and help out because they're just outnumbered. When you have over 1,000, like even just 200-300 people constantly attacking you, swapping out every couple of hours and rotating in day after day after day, you eventually run out of resources and people just give up and quit. And that's what's been happening. There have been 3 content creators that have literally walked away from official PvP Myth of Empires and basically told their entire communities to stop playing, to like not play official anymore because it's just too toxic because of the same exact Zergs. But anyways, I'm just beating a dead horse at this point. So hopefully they do something about that because it will kill the game. Now, does that mean I am siding with Snail Games and Studio Wildcard saying that go play Ark, it's a better game? No. When it comes to the stability of Myth of Empires, it's definitely a step ahead of Ark. But also keep in mind that a lot of the development behind Myth of Empires came from people that also were part of Snail Games and understood the development behind Ark or did help behind Ark. So they learned from their mistake with that game and did better with this game when they switched studios, basically. Or it could be they stole the source code and just improved it. I mean, there's always a possibility. We don't know. That's just speculation. Just throwing that in there. But they could have also learned from their mistakes and made a better game. That's also a possibility. But anyways, but I just want to put something else out there too, that the state of the game is on a very, very, very sharp edge of a double-edged sword right now. And it could fall either way at the moment, depending on how they handle the relaunch of the game in the stores, if it happens, as well as how they handle PvP going forward, because it is going to kill the game and it will kill the game quickly, because that's a huge portion of the population. Also, I want to quickly discuss my stance in the whole fight back and forth between Wildcard and, specifically Snail Games and Angelina Game. I'm neutral. Myth of Empires is a fun game, and in a lot of ways it performs better than Ark does. But I've also been a big fan of Ark for about 6 years now, and I love playing the game. Now even though I love playing the game, and I recently started up my YouTube channel, like recently started taking it seriously, started it up. It's always been something I've wanted to do for a long time, but it's just never had the time, between my daughters and then buying a house. The last 3 to 4 years have been impossible. There was no way I was going to be able to do it. But I support both companies when it comes down to things. I'm not tied down. I don't have to pick one side. Okay, guys, I don't have to be loyal to only one. I can play whatever I want. Just like you guys can play whatever you guys want. You guys have your own opinions. I have my own opinions. And that's how the world works. You don't have to be told what you can and cannot play unless you're being paid to, which I'm not being paid to. So I can do what I want and say what I want and play what I want. It's that simple. So if you have a problem with that, if you have a problem with me playing Ark and also playing Myth of Empires, then get over it. Sorry to say it. I like both games. I like Conan. I like Raft. I love those games. I play them. I still play Subnautica. I still play, Total War 3 Kingdoms, which is a dead game as well, too. It doesn't matter. Yeah, I still play Fallout. There you go. Throw that one in the bunch. It's about gaming. I love gaming. And one of my favorite developers, Yoshi P from Final Fantasy XIV, the guy who basically brought Final Fantasy XIV back from the grave. I've been playing Final Fantasy Online since 1999, since early alpha / beta of Final Fantasy XI. And I've always been in love with the game. And I know I'm kind of talking about some other games here, but I want to give you guys an understanding. When Blizzard / WoW was basically in its biggest decline over this past year, and Final Fantasy 14 started growing to a norm, like they got so packed and so many people started playing it, he had to actually turn off the sales to the game. And he even had to talk to the community even before then about not being disrespectful towards Blizzard specifically, because it isn't acceptable. It isn't appropriate. There's no reason to be negative towards another company just because they're doing a bad job at developing their most recent, patches or DLCs or expansions or whatever you want to call them. And that's very unsportsmanlike in a way. I agree with him 100%. And it really was unsportsmanlike of a lot of gamers to sit there and criticize another company that was in direct competition with Square Enix Final Fantasy for years. For almost 20 years, they've been going back and forth. And WoW has always been on top for most of that time. And they finally made some mistakes that basically plummeted their population. Now, is the game dead? Debatable. It's debatable. It depends on what you refer to as a dead game for WoW. I think it's dead, but that's just my opinion. But I feel the same way when it comes to AG and SG, when it comes to the whole lawsuit and them fighting back and forth. I don't have to pick a side. I like the way Myth of Empires runs, and I enjoy playing it. I like the way Ark plays, even though I don't like the lag at times. But that's only if I'm playing on big servers on PvE and it just gets out of hand. Or I'm doing PvP and I happen to be in a freaking giant spam base, which is quite normal for most PvP bases. But that's here nor there. So going forward with my channel, you're going to see content on both games from both studios. If you don't like it, you don't have to, but being inappropriate about certain topics is not acceptable. I will delete those comments right away. You don't have to follow me. You don't have to subscribe. You don't have to like what I say, but you also don't have to make a big comment about it and make a big deal out of it as well. Okay, guys, just keep in mind, I'm a neutral gamer. I respect both companies as long as there's been no foul play and everything goes off smoothly. The way I look at it is Wildcard was 100% in their rights, aka Snail Games was 100% in their rights to call out AG about the source code, because if it looked like a duck and quacked like a duck, it must have been a duck. I mean, if you thought somebody stole your stuff, would you sit there quietly and just be like, oh, whatever? No, you wouldn't. You'd call them out about it. And that's what they did. They called them out about it. Whether they legitimately stole it or not, they still called them out about it. Now, does that mean I'm siding with Wildcard? No, I'm looking at it from a neutral point of view. I would too if somebody stole something that I worked my ass off for years and just stole it to, build their game or write their story or whatever. Somebody stole, the blueprints to a technology that I developed. I'd sue their ass as well too. So, but at the same time, maybe AG didn't do it. Maybe they're feeling like they're being beat up and bullied on because they're an up-and-coming survival game that has the potential to destroy Ark. Let's be honest, it doesn't have the potential to destroy Ark. Yes, Ark will eventually die, but Ark 2 is going to be huge. It's going to blow up because all those content creators and all those players that have been taking time off are going to come back and the game is going to explode. I don't care how good Myth of Empires does. It ain't going to beat Ark. That's, again, not me siding with Ark. That's just pointing out a pretty obvious thing. But anyways, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. Hopefully that helps you guys understand my point of view moving forward with my channel, as well as how the game is in a very, very delicate state right now that could go either way. And then obviously with the lawsuit court hearing at the end of January, it could go either way. So we'll have to wait and see. But anyways, guys, I'm going to wrap this one guys up. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this little informational video of mine. If not, oh well. Anyways, I will see you guys later in the next one. Take care. Happy hunting.